Hey, what's going on there, everybody? This is Sammy Leggett here representing TeamJVS, here to give you guys another movie review. This is straight from Lee Daniels. I'm talking about The Deliverance. I'm going to look to the side because there's a huge cast, and I'm just going to give them their flowers first because it's a lot of them. So give me a moment to just kind of go over the list. Glenn Close, Audra Day, her amazing self, Monique, Caleb McLaughlin. If you've seen Stranger Things, you know Lucas. You got Ingenue, Ellis-Taylor, Miss Lawrence, you got Demi Singleton, Octavia Spencer, Omar Epps, Rob Morgan, Tasha Smith. The list goes on, but the center of this is Audra's family. Audra plays the role of Ebony, and her mother is Glenn Close, plays the role of Morgan. She's got 3 children. One son is named Andre, played by Anthony Jenkins. The oldest son, played by Caleb McLaughlin, his name is Nate. And then the middle child, which is the daughter, God, I'm spacing on her name. What is her name? Shantae. That's played by Demi Singleton. Demi Singleton, if you've seen King Richard, I think she played the role of Venus. So really great talent there. And so all 3 of them, they're living together with their mother and their grandmother. And the dad, he is, stationed overseas, like he's in Iraq. And unfortunately, Ebony has gone through a lot of different changes, and she is got a parole officer that's holding her accountable, played by Monique and Cynthia. And they've moved into this house. She's a recovering alcoholic and dealing with that addiction, while at the same time trying to deal with the reality of raising 3 children on her own without any help. And at the same time, she's got her own trepidations against her mother for her past. The difference is that their mother has gone to religion, and she's found God, and she's allowed herself to be ultimately transformed from the ground up because of this sacrifice that she's made to kind of go and become a believer. Now, this is very much so, in a lot of different respects, a faith-based property, but it more leans into the supernatural possession and like demonic spirit kind of aspects of the film. The house itself is got like this presence there that is causing a lot of generational issues, not just with Ebony's family, but with whatever in the past. And so now it is inflicted itself upon her family, chosen to try to inflict harm upon one of her children. And now at this point, she is at a loss for words because she doesn't know. One, she doesn't have any comprehension of what's going on. She doesn't have any belief in God. And on top of all that, she cannot allow herself to get over the hurdle of what's going on with her mom to even try to perceive how to move forward. And that's where Ingenue Ellis-Taylor's character comes in, because she's very much so the opposite of that, and she's trying to get them through it. What did I think about the film? I think that the positive that I can say is it was acted very well. I think that Audra's performance was amazing. She was on it. Like she put 1,000% in this. And Glenn Close, she's a chameleon. She can light up scenes. There was scenes that she had with Omar Epps, and I was like, yo, is that Glenn? Is Glenn like that? Like, I just didn't know. Anthony V. Jenkins that plays the role of Andre, some very transformative performances there. He did an amazing job. I think that their usage of effects, lighting, transition, camera work was really well done, in the sense that every single moment felt like there was an underlying theme that was actually happening that you just can't see, down to certain moments where something might hit a glass, or you hear something, or like something's happening while something else is happening. It adds this feeling of dread, which most horror movies allow. I think one of the better ones that I've seen recent times was Long Legs recently. in their way of handling suspense and anticipation of what that suspense means, because that leads to dread. And a lot of the second to third act transition goes and definitely leans into that feeling of dread. This is the thing that's the very interesting part of it, is the actual narrative in the story. The narrative in the story itself is based on true recalled events that's happened to someone. And Lee Daniels has kind of taken it upon himself to not necessarily just dramatify it, but to try to make it something that is digestible, but at the same time, faith-based in the sense of how they had to deal with it, unlike most kind of possession, exorcism kind of films and interpretations before. Now, this is the thing that's the hard part about this film, is that if I'm judging it from a critical standpoint in the way that it is executed, I think that they go back and forth where on a blink of a dime, very quickly, things just change from the second to third act, with the way that they handle Ebony's character, with how certain things happen. And it feels like it's just kind of rushed. If this was a series, I think it would have worked a lot better for specific things. If I take Monique's character, Cynthia, in the very beginning of the movie, where you get to her towards the end, that transition does not line up because it's just so quick. And I think that it does a disservice to the believability and the plausibility, how this kind of progressively worked and how it actually happened. It seems like it should have needed a lot more time with how they had to fight what was going on. And it kind of spoils the whole point behind the faith aspect of it as well, because it's more like a fight or flight kind of situation that kind of happens, which that's good in an extent. But the other side of it is faith without works is dead, right? And so from the other side, not the critical side, but from just how they're telling the narrative from a belief standpoint, some of the ways that they're handling it, I don't want to go too. It's dramatified. It's dramatified in the sense for suspense, for the narrative of the story that was basically recalled for something that actually happened. But it foundationally, there shouldn't have been this type of third act in the way that the third act progressed. Like, foundationally, on belief and on this and on how this is supposed to go, this is not how. I don't know. I think that I question the way that they kind of constructed the third act of this, because it feels more dramatified for the sense of flair and to add anticipation for build up from a critical standpoint. But then if you go from a horror movie standpoint, it loses its potency from other outside perspective, because like, hey, what's going on? I've never seen it done in this way. This doesn't make sense. How fast this happened? I don't believe it. And then the other side of it, from the faith standpoint, it's like, why did it have to go this route when it's very simple, the foundations of what's going on? But yeah, I think that it was an attempt to try to blur the lines from making it a horror faith-based film. But if you're going on faith, on what's actually happening, like, there is no obstacle to go through on this route. But I don't know. I'm going to try to be very quiet on how I view this. I'm just going to judge it from a critical standpoint because I see what was attempted. But as far as the film, I'd rate the film at a 7, maybe a C+ to a C. But yeah, I think that the performance is really good. I think that some of the shots were really dope. VFX and the practical effects were done really well. Some of the blocking was handled really well. Even down to some of the effects and sound design was done really well. From a theatrical standpoint, I may have done a lot better in the theatrical. But yeah, those are my closing thoughts of The Deliverance. Let me know what you guys think of, if you ever already seen it already. If you'd like for me and somebody else are maybe going to expound on a little bit more on the other route of that we possibly can. But thank you guys so much for watching. Peace, people. Make sure you like and subscribe.